Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I wanted to take a moment to talk about surrendering in regards to this upcoming full moon in Pisces and the polarity, more so unpack the polarity for you between Pisces and Virgo, and what the theme of this full moon will be really all about, to help you understand what surrendering really means, understand what connecting to your soul really means, and also understand how that's actually helping you navigate the themes and the topics that are going to come up for this full moon. So if you are excited about that, definitely stay tuned. Why did I choose to talk about the subject of surrendering? Not just because I have a whole tattoo about surrendering, so it's definitely a theme that I've been working with a lot and reflecting up on a lot, just because I'm born with Pluto in the 12th house, and every Pluto 12th house soul can probably resonate with this feeling of we always want to be in control, and like control is such a big thing. And our mastery really, and our work as Pluto 12th house souls, but in general for every single human, is to learn what surrendering and giving up control really means. And the struggle with that is really the human that thinks that the minute we surrender, we give up or we give in, or we lose our power in a way, right? Because there's this distortion, and again, it's not just for Pluto 12th house souls, it's for every single human in our society these days. We have this idea that when we are in control, we are in charge and we are empowered. But what we are really in control of, or more so what is actually happening, the dynamic that plays out when we think we are in control, is that something that we gave the power to has control over us. For example, those beliefs that we are only in control if we are, or we are only in power if you are in control, right? So the belief that only when you are in control, you are in power, has power over you, and actually disconnects you from your soul, disconnects you from the divine, because the divine will always be in charge. And that's difficult for most people to understand because it's something that we don't see, right? But at the end of the day, if you look back in hindsight in your life, you understand that actually, like, what orchestrates this reality is a higher intelligence, a higher consciousness. It's your soul, essentially. It's source, obviously, and you are source, you are a fractal of source. So this whole idea and illusion of free will, I want to say, I mean, free will is not an illusion, you have free will, but who asked the question about free will? And that's actually something that I've been talking a lot about in some readings. When I get the question, it's always like, who asked the question about free will? It can only be asked by a separate, or a human that is separated from soul, right? Because a human that is connected to soul understands that, well, my soul is in charge and I am my soul. So I want to be in sync with my soul. And if I'm in sync with my soul, I don't need free will, right? Why would I need free will? Because I know that at the end of the day, my soul orchestrates this reality for me, for my highest intention, my highest good. So I can co-create with my soul instead of thinking that I'm separated from it, right? And just because, again, we can't see it, we have this illusion in our mind that we are separate, but we are not. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because this whole dynamic, right, the polarity between Pisces and Virgo, and we are in Virgo season. This full moon is obviously with the moon happening in Pisces in a conjunction with Neptune as well, and on the other side we have the sun in Virgo. And if you want to have deeper insights on this full moon, I have a full podcast episode about it as well. I will link it down below in the show notes to prepare you, because it is happening at the very end of Virgo and Pisces, right? And the way I see it, entering or like starting right before the autumn equinox, right, which is all about balancing, right? We really have to see that we want to bridge this gap right now between human down here on earth, which is the 6th house Pisces area, what we do on a daily basis, right? But also how we can integrate the divine and spirit every single day. And why this led me to surrendering is because surrendering is such a Pisces 12th house word, right? And again, a lot of people think that it is giving up in a way, right? It's like, because we, even in the spiritual field, we get this idea that, oh my gosh, if things get too hard and if I don't know any other way, then you just have to surrender, right? And that's the idea that we have about surrender, that when we don't know any other way anymore, we don't have another solution, we've tried everything out, then it's time to surrender. And that's true in a way, but we don't have to basically we don't have to get to this point, right? We can actively choose to surrender. We can actively choose to co-create with the divine. And that should be something that we do every single fucking day, which is why it leads me to the other side, which is the Virgo piece. It's the 6th house, right? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? If on a day-to-day basis you actively choose with your own power, with your own will, right? With your free will, if you want to say so, I choose to surrender my life to the divine will, to source consciousness, to my higher self. If you do that every single day, you would not even come to the point where you don't know any other way and then you have to surrender and you feel like surrendering means like giving up because I didn't figure it out by myself, right? That's a lot of time what we think as humans, right? That, oh my gosh, surrendering is the last piece, right? It's the last piece that I got to do because I tried everything under the sun and it doesn't work, so I don't know anymore. So I just have to say, okay, universe, soul, higher self, however you want to call it, take over because I'm exhausted from trying and it doesn't work out. But if we actively choose every single day to surrender to our highest good, to surrender to the divine will, without knowing how that looks like, but trusting, right, that it will unfold, then we will never end up in this crazy crisis. And that brings me to, I think, a word that also describes to us and better helps us understand what surrendering actually means. And it is actually a word which, again, if we see clearly, like everything is already there, because the word is associated with that Virgo archetype, also Vesta being in Virgo right now. Vesta is a goddess that I've addressed in the Abracadabra in my astrology school, because she's the goddess of devotion, basically. And devotion is the word that I wanted to refer to, right? Because then surrendering becomes devotion, actually. It becomes this act that I do every single day to devote my life to spirit, to devote my life to my higher self, to devote my existence here to a higher consciousness, to a higher intelligence, right? Devotion is what helps you understand that surrendering is something that you choose every single day. And yes, every single day you have free will to choose, and you don't have to. You don't have to surrender. You can think that you are more in power when you are in control, right? But again, what has really control then, right? Because what really happens if you think you are in control, and again, you let these beliefs have control over you, your soul actually lost control over your life. And that's where you lost the connection. And that's why you have to try everything under the sun, right? And it never works out, because at the end of the day, your soul protects you, right? Your soul protects you. That's why these things don't work out, because it's a signal, right, in your system to tell you, hey, you've been running on something that is actually not in your highest good. Can we course correct? And sometimes that means that you literally have to run into so many different directions and nothing works out, but then you can say thank you. Thank you for showing me that I forgot to choose to devote my life to my soul first every single day, right? And so I wanted to give you that as something to reflect on, really, when it comes to surrendering. And again, like this tattoo, it's been with me ever since I've done some plant medicine ceremonies. They've been like my anchor. It's love, trust, surrender, because it's the Trinity that really helps us stay anchored in this devotional space, right? Because the human wants to figure everything out, right? And the human wants to be, quote unquote, in charge and in control. But only a human that is disconnected from soul can even feel like it has to control anything. And a human that is connected to soul can relax and can ease and can understand that everything will work out for you. You cannot miss the universe. You cannot miss your soul. And for many of us, that obviously means a lot of lifetime lifetimes here on earth, a lot of experiences. And again, that's why I kind of referred back to the 12th house Pluto, because, you know, in evolutionary astrology, it's more common that 12th house Pluto souls really have been here for a long time, and the last piece that they really have to learn is this surrendering, this devotional space. And again, it brings me to the polarity point, 12th house Pluto, 6th house integration point. How can I integrate? How can I devote my life to spirit every single day? And I think it's something that I wanted to share with you too, because Vesta is in my 10th house, right? So I need to share it in public, but also in Libra. But also because I think it helps us navigate this current state of the world a lot better, this current reality a lot better. And yeah, I would love to hear your feedback, and I hope and yeah, I really pray that it inspires you to think differently about surrendering, and to understand surrendering as a devotional act and as something that you can choose with your free will. No one forces you to surrender, right? Oh, it was just 11 minutes. No one forces you to surrender. You can actively choose to surrender. And you don't have to wait until you don't know any other way, because then it feels like I don't have any other choice but surrender, right? You don't have to let yourself get to this point. You can choose before, right? And then it actually becomes very empowering. And it feels like my soul and I, we are Bonnie and Clyde and navigating this craziness in the world, right? But nothing can F with us, so to speak, right? So yeah, just something to reflect on with the Pisces Virgo polarity as well, right? If we bring spirit Pisces, that element, down to our day-to-day practice, that's a devotional act. And you have to implement that every single day, remind yourself every single day. And obviously that also brings me to, you know, the ruler of Virgo being Mercury. It has to really sit in your brain. The autopilot brain always wants you to get out of that, but you have to actively choose that you have the power and the sovereignty over your brain, and not any other belief systems or programmings. And so with all of that being said, I pray that you can use this full moon to really reflect on it, and to really ask yourself, what is something that I feel like I have to surrender, but only because I didn't connect and devote my life in that area to spirit before. I thought I need to micromanage, I thought I need to control. And this piece, you can actively choose now to say, I'm going to devote my life and this area to spirit. And how else, or how different do I have to show up now that it is devoted to spirit? You can definitely share it down below in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback, which area it is for you. And yeah, I'm excited to see the shifts and changes, because again, I think that's also what recalibrates and prepares us for this shift with the autumn equinox, where it's all about balancing, right? Entering the second realm of the zodiac as well, the interpersonal realm. Yeah, I will talk more about that on the podcast and my Instagram, so definitely hop over to that. And yeah, happy full moon. Again, more insights on the full moon are on the podcast as well, and also on my Instagram when I do the weekly forecast. So yeah, and if you want to share some feedback, definitely DM me, or yeah. And if you would like to have some support for navigating surrendering, but also this crazy world and the shifts that are probably also happening in your personal life, then reach out for a reading. I do them, and also think that, you know, this full moon and autumn equinox, the change is the perfect time to really sit and ask yourself, what is my soul contract, and how am I actively working with it every single day? Am I devoted to my soul contract, or am I working against it? And that's why there's so much chaos in the world. So if you would like to have some insights, I would love to shine a light on that. And yeah, with all of that being said, we will see each other very soon. Step in your magic.